everybody, and welcome to another episode of Superfan Chats. It is I, your Lord Crumpet, here once again to lead you through some fantastic episodes. I know, I'm so happy to be back. So, pull up a pew and have... Is it pull up a pew and have a cute brew?
Yeah, I think a pew like a bench. Yeah.
Pull up a pew and have a brew. There we go. We're changing it up a little bit. So today we're going through episodes 70 to 72. So spoiler warning for those episodes if you've not had a listen yet. We're going to be delving very deep into those three specifically. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't listened to them, go away, listen, and then come back to us. Pause whilst I wait for you to go away.
These episodes have so much lore, and obviously the ones before it as well. So much lore in them. Just go listen to them. They're so good.
They are.
It is
intense.
Like no combat at all. Like literally just lore and history and
reveals.
So much information to process. Like genuinely, I had to re-listen a couple of times before we started recording this, just to kind of get my head around it all. But I think we're good now.
Definitely, it's been the last few episodes. I have been like biting my nails and re-listening so I don't miss any details.
I classically, before doing a Superfan Chats, I listen to the episodes on 2x speed, just because, I can get through the things and I remind myself and then I slow myself down for the detail bits. I had to slow it down so much for these 3 episodes to just make sure that I got everything right. I pretty much ended up listening to it on like 0.5.
Yeah, I met in the middle and did 1.5. I was like, 2 is too fast, 1 is too slow, 1.5. Okay, that's the good speed.
I'm with you.
There was also a bit in these episodes where I think Orin did like almost like an advert disclaimer, which then, obviously those bits there's no breath in it at all, like that. But that on 2x speed was ridiculous.
Oh yeah. That I remember that one bit having to slow down and go, wait, hold on a second. But everything else I pretty much caught up with. I just forced my brain to do it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so good having the 2 hands together. Even though I'm a little bit worried. The universe not quite imploding yet, but there's still time.
We have caused a rift in the space-time continuum.
Yeah, there's the wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey things going on at the moment. There's some kind of paradox happening somewhere in the universe.
Definitely.
I love the idea that we've now created one of those alternate timeline things, and I wonder which timeline are we in.
Oh,
that's a good point.
What
would happen if Hannah was like this, and this Hannah was like this?
Yeah, what would happen if you were like differently placed on the video chat? Like, oh no, in this version, Hannah T is up in the top left corner, but in the other version, the Lord Crumpet is up in the top left, and the changes that will happen.
Also, can I say how awesome it is that we have Superfan Sam here?
Yeah, it's been a little while since I've been in this chair.
It's been so long. We've missed you.
Oh, I've missed you guys.
Well, you've been doing very important things.
Busy doing some like life stuff.
Yeah. There's a couple of things. Yeah. And that is also for the listeners. If you hear a screaming baby in the background, that will be my little boy Robin. But hopefully he's being quiet because he's with his mummy, and she's taking good care of him today.
You made that.
I did.
I know.
You made that. You made a whole human.
I know. I always
a
thought
natural
that
20 for you.
Hell yeah.
I always thought that No Small Questions was the crowning achievement of my life, but apparently it's a little child.
Aww.
But I won't be handing my child over to you, Hannah. I might keep Robin for myself. You're doing a wonderful job with No Small Questions, but it's my child.
That's okay. If anybody has met me and tried to have me a baby, they will have seen a look of pure terror upon my face. I
wear this face daily.
I'm a distant appreciator of the babies. I'm not so great up close.
You hide behind the sofa, basically. Say, it's cute from afar.
A little bit. My anxiety of potentially hurting tiny baby or just doing something wrong is so intense that I'm like, you guys know what you're doing. You hold them. I will appreciate over here.
To be fair, I was a bit like that on the first day. I had no idea what I'm doing. Now it's just, it's, you got to be careful with everything. How does the leg go into this little sleep suit? And now you just like ram it in, get the baby dressed, stop it screaming.
Why aren't you walking yet? Come on, it's been like days. Come on,
exactly. Why aren't you talking? We need you on the stage.
We need you on the stage. And this is how you roll a dice. So just take this hand like this and there you go. And now we're going to design a character.
I meant to do this for Baby David, obviously, because he was in the last NSQ, and I just didn't get a chance to get the question in. But, I was going to ask him how long before he's setting up a DM'd game for the kids, and, what kind of world it would be. I genuinely can't wait for that. Our kids are playing D&D. It's going to happen with two obsessive dads involved.
Yeah.
And I want to play in this world. I don't mind how many kids are in it. I want a chaperone and have David DM for us.
I love how we've gotten so distracted with baby talk, though. We need to...
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
No, it's fine. Like, it happens.
This is the no small roles of the future,
That's true, to be fair.
We're starting a legacy.
It's super important. And do you know what? It only took us 10 minutes. We've got 10 minutes left of recording time? We can cram 3 episodes into then. It's not
100%.
It's not like there's loads of detail in these episodes.
No.
No, just listen to it on 2 times speed and we'll be absolutely fine. I'll just talk at that level and then...
Yeah, we're all fast talkers. We could do that.
In which case, let's jump in then. Who had the first episode?
Me!
Yes,
amazing.
Hannity.
Yeah. Episode 70, which is called What Lies Beneath.
Ooh. What does lie beneath?
So this episode, I was basically scream texting Grace as I listened to it.
Great.
I could not contain myself, because after the last one where they're creeping around Chargelt Hall, this is finally where we actually get quite a lot of payoff for loads of stuff that has been building. So it basically starts with them in this room that they found, where there is a henge and there is a big force field holding back Lake Aira.
The entire lake.
And they're all still invisible. The only person who can see them is Orin, because of his ability to see invisible things. So that leads to some quite interesting comedy later, and lots of, do people know that I am doing this? Can anyone tell that I am doing this thing?
Yeah,
Lots
there was a fair bit of that, wasn't there? It's I'm going to do this discreetly. Dude, you're invisible.
Yeah, you're invisible. Yes, and just making sure the other party members are aware of what each other are doing, because they can't see each other. So they decide to investigate the hell out of this room, which is a large chunk of this episode. It's pretty much the entire first 2/3 of the episode is them investigating the room and trying to figure out what's going on. And basically what they find, because Orin is broken and can just investigate everything, and everything is over 20 with all his checks. What they find is that the henge has been fabricated. So this is not a naturally occurring henge. It's actually different to all the other henges. It's been created. And something that Chris says is they're trying to Jurassic Park this thing, which I think was just one of my favourite things that Chris said in the episode. I also really loved the access amulet, because it just felt like a very glorified video game swipe card, where it was you just swipe, there's literally no reason to have this, you've just swiped.
Look, the access amulet, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the access card, boop, okay, now we're in the room. It is utterly useless, but it will sit in your inventory for the next 5 hours of this game. So there's lots of scrolls and diagrams everywhere. I mean, Orin is basically in heaven.
Yeah.
He becomes an information investigation machine, and lots of this episode is just lore. It's just digging into this lore that they found.
Yeah, I mean this room was effectively nerd porn. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
and they were all jumping in on it.
Oh,
they
absolutely.
were all getting excited.
True.
And you know what? Juna had some decent roles, but Gwen and Enkidu did not. They were very distracted by the whole situation. Yeah, it was just amazing. This is where you had to pay really close attention. So some of the things that really stood out were there was a written note in the research about the henges saying more Orcosian research required.
Yeah.
Who is guardian of the crown?
Yeah, I picked up on that as well.
Which what the fuck, guys? Orkosh? Are we going to have a jaunt to Orkosh? Are we going to find Gwen's mum?
This is, I
oh
mean,
my god!
obviously, I hope so. Yes, I didn't know whether Guardian of the Crown referred to like Ruma Tarabor's crown. Like I didn't. Yeah, I had all sorts of questions. Is it an Orkosian crown? Does it go way back to some other lineage of kings before Ruma Tarabor, or is this connected to the kind of weird Mad King thing that we're going on? I'm still questions about this at the moment.
Yeah, so that, and as well, is it the crown? Who's the guardian of the crown? Like, is the crown a role, or is it actually like a physical crown? And are they talking about actually more like an artifact, which would be required for a ritual? Point. So that was sort of some questions that came up. They basically found through investigating that there are lots of other henges. The next note was the one that said how to deploy quickly.
Yes.
Svelte ritual impossible if stones are immovable, referring to the stones of this created henge, I would assume. Yes. I mean, it wasn't completely confirmed, but it was heavily implied. And man, fucking Kral. We knew he was going to come back. Like,
even in death, he's still spooking the pie.
Yeah, and this links all the way back to the very first arc, where David has linked this Svelte ritual here in this note to the diary that they found in Tillisham.
Yes. I also have a worry about that because I'm pretty sure the diary is now in the Consortium's hands after they got arrested. So does that mean that they now have the ritual information?
And from what I remember about that ritual is it had something to do with Rumath Tarabor. And David highlights something about Rumath has his ritual and I have his favour.
Yeah.
And there was some back and forth about what does favour mean? Does it mean favour as in like, being looked upon well? Or does it actually mean like a physical, like a medieval sort of favour? Like, again, a physical thing.
Like a crown.
Like a crown or like, some sort of artifact that could be part of the ritual. So that, I just love it when the narrative threads start pulling together.
Yeah. But it's still questions though. Like,
I know.
And this is what is maddening.
I know. It's so annoying. It's like, we think we're going to get the resolution. No, actually what this has done is branched it off into like a million more questions in all different directions. Like, what is,
I mean, there was another question that this episode made me wonder because they were talking about, reincarnation and people taking bodies of people and Petrogranius not necessarily being Petrogranius anymore because they found a different version of all the previous Arcanists. Made me wonder, like, are they doing that with Rumath Tarabor? Could Gilgamesh be a reincarnation of Rumath Tarabor? Would that then make Enkidu the guardian of the crown? Like,
and is there something about this that induces some kind of madness? Like, is that the issues with the madness? Is that
the madness a split personality thing that you've got going on? Like,
is it to do with being the same spirit in different bodies constantly throughout the ages? But yeah, basically, when that whole thing about Svelte came up, it was like, David!
Yeah.
You're a genius and also you're taunting us. And this is why I really felt like I needed to go back and just listen to all of it again from the very beginning. Like, I feel like I need to listen to all of No Small Roles again now because there's so much that could be connected and that's been hinted at, and we've had so many theories. One of them, again, semi-resolved, but not really, about the Faceless Footman, like previously in the previous episodes, but what they kind of have, again, semi-confirmed, kind of assumed, sort of, it's like, this is probably what's happening, it's not 100%, but this is what seems like is happening, is that Chargelt, the original Consortium member, has basically been taking over bodies of High Circle members, whoever's been living in Chargelt Hall, for the last 600 years.
Yes.
Like, that is the assumption they have made in this episode, having seen all the chamber where I think they said it was about splitting spirits from bodies, and then the room with all the beheaded ghosts in the bell jars. That whole situation, it became like pretty clear that Chargelt is inhabiting
and then
people.
how intrinsically linked is that to the Wingthrops and what they're doing? You know, what Erida's doing, because we've seen a spirit be removed from its body and a new body made for it with Enkidu, with the chamber of like arcane magical electricity. Like, is that what happens when you walk in the middle of these obelisks?
Yeah, who knows?
How much are they all linked?
Yeah.
Scary.
There's so much lore in this, you guys. There's so many questions. There's so many frigging questions. We're not even halfway through.
I know. We've now learned that there's a whole bunch of other henges in the world as well. Like, I was excited when we knew about one, and then when we saw what I think was a kind of artificial henge that they've been building in the Golden Forest. You know, the one that Enkidu recognized was using like sympathy magic and had that symbol in the middle, but had a similar kind of henge structure to it. And now a new artificial henge. And we also have the one in Twaintide. We've got the Fallopian Hills one. We've got Torbear Bog, the Ash Henge.
Well, okay,
all of
so
these.
this was the next bit, right? Like, this was the interesting thing. The next bit, the research mentioned a henge in the Fallopian Hills and one in Twaintide. Never got very excited that the spoons actually had a purpose, so they could go resolve the spoons because there's a henge there now. And also the one in Orkosh is called Ash Henge, and then there were some excellent Pokemon references. Again, one of my favourite parts of the whole episode. But there was nothing in the research about the Torbear Bog Henge. So that is something that only Juna knows, it would appear.
And the Children of Havoc, obviously.
Yes, and the Children of Havoc.
Of course.
Oh, the Children of Havoc.
Yeah.
So Juna decides she's going to check in with Ginger and give her a message and ask if she knows anything. And Ginger basically sounds like she's making everything up. And she's like, "Oh, you do what you think is right. It's all destiny." And they're all like, "Oh my God, Ginger is just spouting bollocks." But we also learn that she's about 2 weeks away climbing a mountain. So we will eventually get to meet Ginger, I'm sure.
Just this impending force that's slowly making her way towards them. And she could potentially have all the answers, and yet maybe none at this point.
Yep. I would love it if she does have loads of answers, and this is just David's way of delaying that information getting across. If he's just like, oh yeah, she's just in another continent, but she's going to turn up and be like, right, everyone, let's go right back to the beginning. And it'll be 3 episodes of compact lore.
Yeah.
It's just all flashbacks. Just the whole thing is just Ginger and Juna's journey, and then that's it. That's the 3 episodes. I mean, I'm here for that. That would be awesome.
I would 100% love a spin-off series called Ginger's Journey, and it just fill in those weeks of what Ginger was up to. Guys, can we commission a spin-off series, a little one-shot there?
We need a Ginger,
I want to see like
thank
an
you.
animated version, animated version where you can see like literally she's like pushing through swamps and like climbing over mountains. Oh my God, it would be
so Studio Ghibli.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then the moments just popping in with messages from Juna. It's like, not now, Juna, I'm busy. Like holding open the mouth of a crocodile or something. Like, just do what you want. I don't care.
Do you reckon she chats to herself the whole way as well? I kind of have this image of her like constantly talking to herself. It's like, oh, I've got to climb this mountain now.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Yes.
That'd be so amazing.
I mean, that's canon. I believe that entirely. Just, I'm just going to do this now.
100%.
We love Ginger.
So they decide, because there's so much stuff, they basically decide they are going to take as much of these papers as possible. And then I think it's Gaius who figures out that there is essentially a panic button, which is like flood the room, wash everything away. So they sort of have a little debate about what they're going to do. Should we flood it? Should we try and pin this on the Children of Havoc? Well, the Children of Havoc don't have a mark, so technically we could. They won't know it's us, or will they? You know, it's a real like, what do we do? And Guy does this very clever thing where he writes a note which tries to make it look like Treya has given orders to assassinate an arcanist and destroy the research. So even if they flood it, if someone tries to restore something, hopefully that note will be there if they manage to restore any evidence. Kind of like a CSI sort of thing. Like, if they do any forensics.
They find this completely destroyed piece of paper, like sodden and watery, and they're like, we must rebuild it.
Yeah.
This is clearly important information.
Just this one specific piece of paper feels really important somehow.
Yep. Sorry, my cat has just joined.
Oh, hey, kitty. For some reason, for a moment, it looked a bit like a martini glass because the cat's wearing a cone of shame.
She is wearing a cone of shame.
Are you pulling olives out of the top? No, you're just giving.
No, she wants me to scratch her little face because she's not allowed. she's derailing the important lore of the episode.
Oh, hey,
no, kitty, no.
So we're back to talking about babies again, right?
Oh no.
Well, okay.
Good choice, bad choice to flood it. What do we think?
Well, there's a big debate around it, and this is where I'm really interested, and where I basically texted Grace in all capitals, the moral compass of this group is spinning.
Yeah.
It is just like wild where they basically decide they are going to flood the room, and we can discuss whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but essentially they decide they're going to do it. So they decide they're going to flood the room and then use the homeward key to go through the homeward door to escape Chargate Hall completely. And just as they're leaving, they realise they have been being spied on the entire time by Giggles, who they trap in the room. That is flooding.
I was wondering though, does Giggles get trapped? Do they get out of the door? I don't know. I mean, how much time before water comes down? Like, they could have easily got out into the corridor, but there was definitely a nice moment of satisfaction where I thought, bye.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they just kind of go, oops, and shut the door behind them, leaving Giggles
Guess
to work
you'll
out.
Just drown.
Am I going to have the full force of an entire lake come crashing down upon me, or am I going to be able to escape before that happens? Good luck, Giggles. We'll see where that goes. I'm sure David's got plans for that.
I wonder if they're still laughing.
Issues not resolved, though, because once they go through the homeward door, of course, that leads to Heron Ilwyn's house.
Oh, how good was this bit?
The guy who is
great.
The head honcho, it seems, of the Children of Havoc, or at least deeply involved, if not the one in charge. So they basically case the entire house. Orin looks for scrying orbs. There's an illusory image of Kierda in the living room.
Yeah.
But no one is there. It's really spooky, really eerie. And everyone decides the best plan of action is to rob Heron blind.
I mean, they so easily could not have found that money.
They went upstairs. They find a secret drawer. They take 10 bags full of coins, which ends up being, I think, 10,000 gold worth of platinum.
About that.
Yeah, it's so much.
And they're like, let's take all of it. And then they're like, no, we'll leave him a bit. We'll take, out of the 15 we found, we'll just take 10. We'll take 2/3 of his wealth.
That's the morally right thing to do. Only take 10.
Yeah, I was like...
I liked again, this is... Chris played Guy so well through this episode. He had so many good moments, but the whole if he's good, we can give it back.
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't peg Heron for a money under the mattress kind of guy, but I guess I didn't also peg him for being in charge of the Children of Havoc, so...
I don't know, I feel like you came up with that theory a while ago, but you thought that he was bad in other ways. We didn't know about the Children of Havoc at this point, Jesus.
No, but I was 100% suspicious, and I was like, you should not trust this man, and they were all like, we trust this man, and I was like, guys, no.
The show just gives everyone trust issues, it's just quite bad.
The thing is, though, right, given all the different factions that we have seen, I don't know if the Children of Havoc are particularly bad. I'm not sure where they sit on the scale of dark light balance.
The first time we saw the Faceless Footmen, they were just murdering random people, or at least we believe they're random. Now I'm wondering if there was some kind of orchestrated chaos to those moments.
Might have been more strategic.
Yeah,
because with the second attack, it was a lot more strategic, and it was very much an act of protest and rioting and targeting those people.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean.
It also makes me wonder, because I'm guessing the Children of Havoc and the Arcanist Consortium are working against each other, because obviously they picked up Pellegrini. And I'm wondering, if we're looking at Crowell's things about the prophecy of flames, floods, all of that sounds quite chaotic. Titans tearing the world asunder, a henge being opened makes me wonder about them being gateways to, say, places where there are flames and floods, other dimensional portals and stuff. Is it a henge? Is this a key to a cage for some kind of horrific entity? Yeah, these all seem like very chaotic things to me, that I'm starting to wonder whether that prophecy is more about them and them getting to some kind of power, and that being the future that Krell has seen. Yeah, there's again,
so many possibilities.
I'm all question marks.
Yeah, and I'm just like
excited though.
Yeah, and it's so hard to tell because David is so good at layering these things. Whether, as you say, is it layer 1 purely havoc, like just causing trouble against the Arcanist Consortium, in which case that actually is a good thing considering what the Arcanists are trying to do, and Chargelt and all that situation. Is it layer 2 that actually it's on purpose and there's like a level to it where they're actually looking like they're against the consortium, but they're actually working with them in a way to bring Krell's future to pass?
Yeah.
Or is it a third layer where it looks like they're doing that, but actually they're sabotaging from the inside in a carefully orchestrated, like, who knows? Yeah. So I don't know if Herent Ilwyn, he's definitely not trustworthy, but I don't know if he's let's nick 10 grand untrustworthy.
This is it. They all seem to have these weird kind of you're talking about the like morality compass of the party.
Oh my god!
Like, all of
all
these
over
people
the fucking
that we
place
found seem to have like Juna's famous light and dark within them, and you're kind of wondering how much of it is dark, because I don't know who the party can trust at this point. I don't think they can really trust anyone.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Everyone they meet from now on, there's this layer of, we don't know who you're fighting for. And even if we did know who you're fighting for, we don't know the reason why. For all we know, their intentions could be good, but like, we can't say at all, like, the amount of encounters we've had with the Hex and the Children of Havoc that would be like, oh yeah, of course, they're all bad. Everyone's bad. But now that it's within the consortium, we're like, okay, no, but is it, or is this, yeah, like you said with your layer thing, you put it perfectly. Like, we just do not know what anyone's intentions are.
Yeah.
And so we're just like,
Yeah. And it's this lovely, maddening mix of like, what happens to morality when you are surrounded by incredibly questionable people? Like, what does that do to your moral compass? And is doing bad things towards people who have done bad things a morally right decision? Or does it just make you bad? Like, there's so much where it's like, you probably, like, people don't, like, decent people probably don't steal 10 grand. But is that 10 grand from nefarious purposes, and are they repurposing it for a good thing where it won't go towards like doing harm? Like, it's a really like, basically we're just swimming in a massive grey soup of morally grey questionable decisions that are incredibly confusing,
crashing down on top of you like Lake Hera, basically.
Pretty much. And I'm loving it. And basically this episode ends with them sneaking out of the district by disguising themselves and forging documents.
Oh, brilliant.
So
oh, but that was such a tense moment.
Oh
that was so good. Of like, Juna, you get checked.
Oh my god, I was on the edge of my seat listening. Yeah. And then I immediately texted Grace and was like, I need the next episode now.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, right now.
I lost hair during that episode. There was so much stress and information.
You've given blood, sweat, tears and hair to this podcast.
Yep.
Oh,
speaking of, should we just crack on with the next episode?
I think it's probably wise. This one was actually mine. Because it's episode 71, Tipple Timeouts. So basically the group were making their way towards Drake's, but then Gwen turns around and says that actually going to Drake's probably not the best idea, and they decide to go to a brothel instead. They go back to the Tipple where the caddy of holding came from. I know, right? But actually, maybe she didn't mean it this way, but a great way of being discreet, because they are very much like everything within these. They speak to Rufus, who Gwendolyn had spoken to before, and is very much like, everything here is discreet. You were never here. And they're able to splash some of this new cash that they've got on some luxury rooms. So instantly they decide we should go spend some of it because there's things that we need. And then we're going to scry on Heron and get more information.
Things that we need.
Yeah, right. I mean, they
Okay,
spend
Gaius.
a quarter of the money in one go. It's ridiculous.
We need the fanciest rooms we can have at a brothel, please.
Yes.
And all the wine and all the fruits and everything else. And other rooms, apparently, as well.
To be
Business
fair, it's kind of
expenses.
nice, though, because they've never had a lot of money before. You know, they've had the odd... I think they had $1,000 that they split between them at one point. That was one of the payments from Heron where they got like 200 gold apiece. And then that obviously went straight away on things that they needed. It's kind of nice that they now have the money to spend it on what they want and just go a bit mad. You know, I mean, in what point in the game before has a character like Juna been able to go, oh yeah, go get me a gem worth 1,000 gold, and it's just like, yeah, sure, we can do that.
Yeah,
That's true.
I mean,
It helps place the focus on other things as well, because when money is no object, it's kind of like, here's all the things to help forward the plot. Here you go. Don't worry about it. You've got all the money you could ever possibly want.
Yeah. Here's that access to those high-level spells you've been desperately craving.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to ration out that incense so you can call Ruana back.
Yeah, exactly. Don't have to worry about that anymore. So easy to get those herbs.
Yeah.
But now you've got an amethyst worth 1,000 gold pieces, and it's beautiful as well, like the way that he was describing it with the you say the stalagmites like rising out of the top of it and stuff. Oh, so cool.
Proper geode.
But yeah, they go out. It's Guy, Gwen, and Orin decide to go out and get all of this stuff, and they disguise themselves up to be able to do it, which has a funny little moment with Rufus when they go out of the room, and he's like, "Wait, actually, I kind of dig it." They get a diamond worth 300 gold pieces. They're looking for reagents for the enlarged reduce potions. Orin finally gets the rest of the components for his night vision visor. More gems for Enkidu worth 300 gold pieces. 250 gold pieces worth of travelling supplies, like only the finest stuff that Gwendolyn goes and gets for them. They get most of this stuff apart from some of the things for the reduce potion. So that might take a little bit more time for Orin to figure out how to get the homeward door. But they do manage to haggle it down a bit. Gaius is very cleverly uses charm person, which shouldn't come back to bite him in the ass because he looks like somebody else. And they actually managed to not only get like 150 gold pieces off of the gem and like a whole bunch of extra things, they get healing potions thrown in on top of that for 600 gold pieces, including greater healing potions. And they also get a Wingthrop wand thrown in as part of a wand of secrets. Which I think is...
love the way you said shouldn't come back to bite them in the ass.
Shouldn't, no, but this is a David campaign and anything can happen. You never know.
Well, this is a
somebody
bit like...
could have been sat in the corner watching them. Where's Giggles? We don't know. Giggles could have somehow made it back through the homeward door and is just like watching them. Oh, they got a wand of secrets. I'll feed that back to Pedigree.
Well, as well, this does feel a little bit like when Gwen was just like throwing her name around, where it's like, okay, you may look different, but people are going to notice people suddenly appearing and spending absolute shed loads of cash. Like
in platinum.
That is not an everyday occurrence. As someone who has worked in retail a lot, you remember the people who hand you £50 notes.
Yes, but she's got contouring now and slightly different hair colour. Could not possibly be the same Caucasian woman.
She beat her face.
Contour does a lot for people's faces, trust.
It's
like
true,
that is
it's
some
true,
witchcraft right there.
We've all watched RuPaul, yeah.
That's so true. That's so true.
So yeah,
it does feel a little bit like the bit before it does feel a little bit like the bit before a big boss battle, though. You know, like when you stock up on supplies and then immediately afterwards you have to fight the big bad. That was the vibe I was getting, so I spent the whole episode like, oh no, who are they going to bring out next? Because they've got so many supplies.
Yeah, they should have got more healing potions. Oh god.
No, it's Erida.
Yeah, I should have spent the whole 10 grand. I would love it if they'd managed to spend like 8 grand and thought we'd better go back for more. Gone back to the drawer to get it. But yeah, in the end, they end up spending about, exactly actually 2,410 gold pieces, which is more money than they've had at any point in the campaign, I think. But, you know, nice to splash some cash. And then, of course, you chuck in the I think it's about 120 gold all in all that they spend in their time. No, because Guy spends more as well. They probably spend about 130 gold in the tipple alone. And then he goes back and spends his own money having 2.5 hours of rigorous sex in the next episode as well. So, yeah, they spent a lot of money in this joint. But when they get back, they have everything that they need. There is a cute little moment between Enkidu and Juna, who decide to stay and bring Rowana back, and they have a little chat about their goals and their prospects for the future. And Enkidu's very much like, I want to know that the choices that I'm making are my own choices, which I think, yes, that would be a nice thing for us all to know. It's questions that we've been asking in this chat.
Whether it actually happens is another thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That was such a lovely chat, though. Like,
it really was.
Getting those moments between characters that don't usually interact with each other that much.
Yeah.
Like, we've had a lot of Gwenkidu, obviously, but I really feel like the relationship between Juna and Enkidu, we don't always get to see how that goes, and it's really cute.
Yeah, sorry, I'm coining it Enkiduna.
I love that.
Oh, Enkiduna.
But yes, they now have all of the things they need to do the scrying spells. Juna's first 5th level spell, she's a new amethysty orby thing. And they describe it a bit like an IMAX cinema experience, complete with the sound and kind of a curved screen and everything. And I think we all know the like Dolby surround sound thing that kicks in there. But they decide to scry on Heron, which I think was an amazing idea, because they're effectively able to see that Heron is looking panicked and is doing some scrying of his own on his own house. Essentially, we believe, looking to see when the Fate Mark 5 would arrive, what they would be doing, in what condition, like what they would have with them. I'm guessing so that they can pounce or trap them or get information from them in some way, but it's kind of it's insinuated that they were able to do this without being detected. So all of the stuff that they did in the house has not been picked up yet. Whether they know that they've taken all this money at this point is unknown, but the panic is there already. And we find out that Heron is chatting to Pellegrini, who has clearly managed to escape from Chargate Hall. I'm wondering if Giggles was able to do this. Maybe if they escape from the hallway, because I just feel like with the Faceless Footman being dead and her already being down there, they'd need the amulet to get below the stairs that she must have survived.
But there's also that thing where if they die, their bodies get teleported away, isn't it?
True.
So if Giggles drowned, their body might just get teleported away and they might be revived, because that seems to be what happens with the children.
But then how would they get back below Chargate Hall to free Pellegrini? Unless it drowned the entire downstairs area, which is possible. It's a lake. If that went up the stairs and along the corridor, could have easily got to those chambers and drowned everything down there.
That's true.
Yeah,
I guess we'll find out about that when they're able to. Or
Pellegrini's got an alternative means of escape.
True.
More like high-level magic, because they are shady.
I mean, maybe they just let him go. You never know.
Yeah, sure. That sounds normal.
Sounds very consortium-like.
That sounds plausible and normal, and I'm sure there'd be a really weird reason why they'd do that.
Slap on the wrist and off you go. That's all right. Get back to the surface.
There was one weird moment with this scrying that I want to ask your opinion on. It's kind of, David makes a point of saying that right before the scrying cuts out, Heron looks at the image of Kieda, which we know is a major image at this point, and tilts his head. And I was wondering why. Like, I would have thought that was some kind of trap that Heron set up. But if he's tilting his head, that implies that he's quizzical or confused about it. So, yeah, my thoughts were, why do you think that is?
That's an interesting point. So, yeah, because obviously we couldn't find out who'd conjured the image. That was like, we know it's there and we know it exists, but we don't know who made it.
Yeah.
And we know that Kieda does illusion magic, but supposedly he's gone south. So, was this, what's the name of the chef with the potatoes? The Like, was it them
Oh,
that did it? It just, I was a little bit confused by that bit. Or whether he's tilting his head because he's like, I would have thought that would work, that they'd go and chat to them. Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting moment, like why he mentioned the tilting of the head there.
because it's either he's tilted the head because he thinks, why is this person here? I thought they were going south. Or in the case of Heron's conjured the image, that's weird, there's no one with him. Like, I thought they'd be in the living room, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure whether to read it like Heron's like, that's weird. Or whether to read it like, ooh, you know when someone has an idea?
Ooh,
and they're like,
yeah,
ooh.
that's possible.
And the image of Kira maybe like sparking an idea for him. Like, perhaps I have another pawn in this game kind of thing. Like, I wasn't sure if it was that kind of head tilt or whether it was more like a quizzical, what's this thing doing here? Or like, it's weird that this didn't work. Like, yeah. So ambiguous.
Yeah, actually,
it would make sense that he's planning his next move, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very much, we're learning, an ideas kind of person and a leader. I mean, if he managed to get the Fate Mark 5 on his side without really giving any evidence as to why they should, just because he was against the patriarchy, I guess, or working against them while also on the inside. Yeah, crazy times. Anyways, so there is a little bit of extra conversation I kind of wanted to draw. That is do the consortium know everything that Pellegrini knows, or is he talking about the lads when he said about, they've been in my head, they know everything. The group talk about this as well, but we don't really know whether Pellegrini's talking about them or about the consortium, or whether he was able to kind of keep that stuff back, and will that stuff, if the consortium do know about it, will it go to all of the consortium, or is this just going to be kept with like Access and Wingthrup and Chargelt herself? Yeah, I guess we're going to find out that information as we go on. They also point out in this more key bits of information that seats of power or points of interest seem to be built up around these henges. As they pinpoint where they are in the country, like Kral's Tower, like the throne itself seems to be near this one that's in the Philosian Hills, because I believe that's quite close to Mervai. There's definitely one, as they said, in the Wingthrup facility or around that area, whether it be the artificial one or one that is man-made. And now they've made one in Flawless Vale as well. So it just seems to be wherever there are things happening, they're now building points of interest. And then finally, I'm gonna end this episode. We'll chat about all these things, but the kind of the big thing that leads into the next episode is after a bit of conversation that involved a lot of Enkidu style hand gestures, the party then decide that it's probably fine to open up the bell jar and release the ghostly bust of Petra Granius.
Yes.
Yes. God, what an episode.
We love Petra Granius.
Oh my god. Finally,
so
Petra.
Finally, Petra.
Well.
Pet.
She's brilliant. I love Petra Granius. And her fixation with Gaius.
I know.
It had to happen, though. I was like, someone's got to... Because I was like thinking back through a lot of episodes, and I was like, there's been moments where people have flirted with Guy, but this is like the most direct one. And I was like, yes, finally, Bard is doing Bard things. Let's go.
Oh, hell yeah. I was curious if was this the episode where they floated a theory of like ley lines or drawing lines between the henges?
Yes.
And they seem to abandon that reasonably quickly, but I don't know if they should have done, because I'm really curious about that.
There could be more, is the thing. There could be more henges, and then once you get that full picture, you realise like it spans everywhere. But I mean, these points of power being built close to the henges, they build those kind of things on ley lines. They would, or places where, magical conduits. It just begs that question of what the hell do these henges do? Is there any significance to how many columns there are? Is it all the different schools of magic? Is it relating to the amount of henges that there are? Like, when you build a new henge, do you have to build an additional column? Damn questions.
And
It's always the way.
there were many henge questions, I think, in the following episode. I think they asked Petra Granius quite a few questions about henges, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yes, they definitely did. Like, yes, moving on to the Petrogranis episode,
Yeah, let's do
Unbodied 72. Let's go.
Oh, hell yeah.
I love the fact my first point on this episode was just in brackets, got rich. Because obviously we found out the total sum of all the money they got. So I was like, yeah, got rich, nice.
Oh my god, yeah.
But yes, Petrogranis, I love Petrogranis from the start, but we'll delve more into them as a person. But it just seems like she just kind of wants her body back. That was kind of how they ended the last episode and started the next one of like, let's kill her and give me my body back. Yep, that'd be great, thank you.
Stab her multiple times.
Yes.
I love that
It was just the lovely innocent voice, and then every now and again of just like, and I just want to murder her and stab her in the back. And I was like, oh, okay, you're a little bit psychotic. Okay, good. It was a bit concerning, I will say.
I mean, being trapped
but
in
then
a
there
jar
was,
for 30 odd years
35
Yeah,
years,
probably
yeah,
might do it.
push you slightly towards the
to be a
edge.
bit murderous. Especially getting the whole response. But they kind of went into detail of how they got put in the jar and the idea that they were sponsored by Sabine, and then they were going to join the High Circle, and then it was like, oh, hey, I've got this important thing to do downstairs. Why don't you just
Yeah.
follow me? And then suddenly she's in a jar. And then what I can assume is that she's in the jar but can also see what's happening around her as well. So is still
Seems
very
that
much
way,
aware
yeah.
of people coming in and out and like hearing names, because when questioned about like, oh, what names did you hear and what things did you hear, there was a lot of talk about Hastan and then
Yeah.
like Erida and even the Wingthrops being involved as well. There was a lot of bringing all those characters back into it. So we can only assume that all of the founding members are kind of involved on this. And this is very much just like all the problems at the top and people just dragging everyone into it, which is not good. And then also got a little bit about into her background as well. Like, I think she knows more about the henges as well.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't place a lot of
100%.
significance on them. And I think that is more suspicious because she kind of dismissed it as a thing. You know, because she was in the High Council or going towards the High Council, there is definitely stuff that she knows, because I feel like that is part of the training. Even if it was sold to her as something that was quite innocent, it is that. So I definitely think so.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like, I feel with Petra, there was so much where she was really, really forthcoming, like really forthcoming in ways that were like very refreshing. And then at the same time, we all knew that there was a lot of stuff she was also not saying on purpose.
Yes.
Definitely.
And it was,
It
was again, one of those, how much can we trust you, ghost jar person? Like,
Which
how
they-
far
Released you
can
from
we
a jar.
trust a spirit who's been
They
trapped
seem
in a
to
jar?
quite a lot, to be fair.
Yeah.
They put quite a lot of trust in her, I'd wager. And I don't know if that comes from a point of, we need to trust somebody at this point, and this person has information. The only way to get information from them is to give the information that we have.
Mm.
I think there was a lot of that played into it, but there was also a kind of, I don't know, I feel like they were quite enjoying just divulging bits of information, particularly when they realised, like, we kind of have to say a little bit more about the henges now. And then the floodgates just opened, and they were very, very open about everything, talking about...
I mean, the notes on the table as well, like literally inviting her over to look at them as well. But I kind of agree with you. They had to believe in someone, and Juna especially brought it up. I don't know the exact kind of line, but it was something of, I think our ideals are lined up and our goals are pretty similar.
Yeah.
And Gaius questioned it and was like, yeah, but are they? Yeah, but are they? But Juna seems to kind of agree with the idea of, if we get Petrogranius back in her body, that will actually further our goals and help us more. So because of that meant that they kind of lent in more to trust her, and especially like Orin kind of gathering the notes and then learning more because of that, with his beautiful 26 roll, even though he scored like an 8 or something.
Yeah,
I don't understand. The maths is
I've
not
only
there,
rolled
but
an
here we
8.
are.
I'm just gonna bump that up to a cool 26. What?
Easy.
Oh, not very good, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was that. It was, it's not a great role. Is it not a great role? Is it? I have to disagree there. But yeah, Oren knew exactly what he was doing. He's so smart. But I think they kind of figured out from that they're trying to create like a movable henge and a portable henge.
Yes.
So the idea of trying to recreate them, so obviously like the kind of Jurassic Park like dummy subject thing, but then also create a version that is transportable, which could bring with it a number of different things, especially if we're drawing from stuff like the ley lines and whatever. If they're opening up stuff or they're gates and they're holding things back, if you suddenly move that away to a new location, what can that possibly do in terms of like transporting it across the whole blooming continent?
Because I'm going to be honest, there's a little bit of like, okay, so I wonder how influenced David is by things like Hercules, as in the Disney film. And if you haven't seen it, really sorry, spoiler alert. But it's very old, and you should have seen it because it's brilliant.
If you haven't seen it, where have you been?
But there's Titans in that as well, and they are held in a vault. It is in the song, like those Titans in a vault. And, you know, a henge could easily be a circular kind of prison for something like Titans. And yes, like if you move the gate that is keeping these things locked up, can you potentially release them? Do you fuck up the magical flow and everything opens?
That's a very good point.
Yeah, good questions. Also, makes a lot more sense of the note, Servelt's ritual impossible if stones are immovable. How to deploy quickly, right? Makes that make a lot more sense. They're trying to make them portable stones to do something with Servelt's ritual. And yeah, I also wonder how much the Greek mythology, classical mythology, plays into it. The idea of these titans being caged, and then will they be unleashed?
Definitely.
I just hope if they are, the Gospels will turn up and sing some songs. I don't know.
Sing them away.
Yeah.
I mean, David's got the music down, but you know, we just we just need some
to be
soulful
fair,
voices.
the music in this episode was gorgeous as well.
Yeah.
Every time like Petroconis did something, it was just that right level of like fascinating but eerie. I loved it. I was just like, oh, just replay that bit again. That was really nice. I really enjoyed that. I was thinking more along the lines of The Witcher, though. That was my thought. Like, I get the Hercules reference completely, but like The Witcher, where obviously they have the kind of gaps where all these monsters are coming through, and then you know, all the things shattering, and that brings them out. That's what I was thinking. The idea of like, if we move this thing and we move this structure away, things are gonna pile through. Things are gonna get in, and especially if you're creating artificial ones. So you're trying to place like artificial henges on top of the natural ones. How much is that going to mess with it as well? Like, it is a really interesting thought to think that if they do manage to succeed and they do manage to move these henges, what that could potentially bring.
It brings you back to that Jurassic Park quote of like, you know, nobody asked whether we should. When you have absolute power and information and kind of progression is your goal, like where does that end? What lines do you ley lines do you cross to get to that goal? And like you can't know every outcome, and clearly from the notes they don't know what they're doing, really. And it also really made me think about that sort of more classic D&D lore, with sort of like how lots of the demon lords are kept at bay in the abyss, you know, people like Demogorgon, or Zuktmoy, or you know, all the scary demons, and we know there's sort of like demonologist type involvement going on, something going on there.
Yes. So this was entirely my linkage, because Hastan is obviously an occultist, or like that's what he specializes in, occult, demonologist, magic.
Yeah.
Why would you need to have a specialism if you're not going to tackle really scary monsters?
Yep. Is there something about unleashing demons from the abyss? Is David also inspired by that classic D&D structure? I don't like. Is it a combination of all of the things we've just said?
I'm really hoping this guy is like Constantine. You know, it's just that kind of like, you know, I am able to deal with these things, but I fucking hate doing it, and my soul is damned kind of thing. I'd love it if that's Hastan's character.
That would actually be quite cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we already have possession and ghosts, you know, this is just turning into supernatural at this point. Like, we might as well just bring in a load of demons as well. Like, just tick the checkbox of things.
Castiel turns up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? We'll just bring in everyone. Just everyone from every pop culture thing ever. Just bring it all in. We've got Hercules.
Sandman in there. Why not?
Oh, yeah. Love that. Dream
That would be
turns
funny.
up. Oh.
But the thing is that obviously the whole point of this is like, it might not be the case, but there's this kind of implication that they're trying to bring back Rumath. So obviously this idea of them surviving for so long is the idea of like, maybe that's because they want to bring out Rumath and bring him back into it and figure out a way to bring him and get sort of reincarnate him as well. And I think the main thing is like, what is this ritual? Obviously no one could understand this kind of symbol and what it meant. And like Orin was kind of probing into like whether it could be transferred into an object, and this idea of like, no, there still has to be someone casting it. But obviously the ritual can be carried in an object. You just need someone powerful enough to do it. Which is half the reason why I'm worried when Orin kind of goes away at the end.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
why does she need him?
I mean, they needed a convenient way of allowing Ben to go on tour.
Yeah, yeah, there
true.
is that.
But at the same time, you know David is going to milk that to his advantage.
Yeah.
100%.
And when does he come back? Like, this is what I'm wondering. Like, how do you get him back at this point? They kind of believe Petra when she was saying that she would give him up at some point, you know, once she's achieved her goal. How long is it going to take to achieve her goal?
That's the thing. There was all these talks about like summoning a priest and like getting the body and stabbing the body and all this kind of like really intense kind of like talk, but it was all very vague ideas. Like, Petra Grande had no idea it was going to work. It was just like, oh well, I guess I'd do this. Like, I don't know how to get my body back. So it's the idea of like, what in the time, like, because obviously, yes, you know, Ben is away. Sorry, Ben, have fun on tour. But like, we need to, what is like his journey in that meantime when we come back to it and when he returns to the party? What is it that he has been used for? Is it because he's got like an arcane knowledge, like that's going to further that story in that sense, because he understood what was going on a lot more than the other party members anyway. So in terms of like, who are you going to possess and take over, probably the guy who's got the most knowledge on these symbols and has the most idea of how they're going to work. And even if it is the case of like, during this time she figures out how to use the tools that he's got, like all of his goggles and all their abilities, and then uses that to get closer to the body and then closer to getting that back, you know, because from what I've gathered, it doesn't seem like Petra is on the same kind of goal as the others, in the sense of there's no kind of like Erida vibe. I don't really get that kind of, you know, take over people and rule the world kind of vibe. Like, but it does make me wonder that once she has got her body back, what is her plan? Because she was always going to be on the High Council or the like at the High Circle, sorry, and then that was it. So what actually are her goals? Because there was all these questions about where she's been and what she's been up to and like who she knows and what names she's heard, but there's no, aside from I want my body back, there was no discussion over what she wants. She's
powerful, right? You know, if she's able to just cast, and I think she insinuates that she can cast teleport as many times as they need, and I don't know if that was a cryptic way of her saying I'm only doing it once because that's all I need to get you there, or whether she's able to cast it multiple times. Teleportations, it's a 7th level spell. Like, you know, so she has like level 8, level 9, you know, this is purely from a meta standpoint, you know, does she have level 9 spellcasting abilities that she's able to cast this 3 times? Also, I found it a little bit sad, actually, that Orin was like, oh, I've always wanted to teleport, and then he doesn't. So I don't know whether she's then teleporting as Orin somewhere else, or whether he just doesn't get to and has been possessed, which just seems a bit harsh, really. His goal. Yeah.
Even after all those cute messages to everyone and being like, hi, I hope you're okay. Hi, I hope you're okay.
And she carrying Aggie around with her? I don't know.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Don't split him up from Aggie.
Don't split the party goose.
They said that he would carry the goose, right? They said he was going to carry her.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they've taken the goose.
I think that is the thing as well, is like, as you said, we know what Petra's goals are now, but there isn't much information about the type of person Petra Granius was before the body
Before all this
snatching
happened. Yeah.
and what their original desires were. Like, why would they want to be in the high circle? Were they wanting to affect positive change in the world? Like, what's their worldview? We don't know.
Were they planning to follow the way of the world because it meant that they were getting power and, respect and status?
Yeah.
Which kind of sounds like the track that she was on. However, like you say, Hannah, she doesn't sound like she's got evil purposes. And I don't know if that's just a clever way of, like, the way that she was talking to these guys. But when David was saying that she is terrified of what the Arcanists are doing with the Henges and what they could do with the Henges, that gave me a little bit of hope of, like, well, at least her goal might be aligned with the party to an extent, and that maybe Orin is in relatively safe hands. You would have thought, like, if they're looking for a way to let Orin or let Ben go to America without his character dying through being with the party, that he wouldn't then give it to somebody that's going to massacre the body. I just wonder what state he's going to be in when he gets back and whether he remembers any of this journey.
Yeah, or is it going to be like a Men in Black mind wipe situation?
Could be interesting if he comes back and he's like, part Arcanist, part wizard, because he's now got wizard abilities.
Or is he going to be like Enkidu? And is he going to have other people inside him?
Yep.
Oh my god.
He's got all of the dispossessed bodies that Chargelt has given up. They're just all Sabine's in there. They're all in there.
Could just
Just
do a little
shoving them
inside
out.
check.
Like, pew, 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 pew.
He's just like all of the potential High Circle members from the past. Oh my god, he'd be so powerful.
He'd be so
That would be
powerful.
ridiculous. That would be a hilarious moment, though, if, like, Orin came back and was just talking normally, and then it was like, are you okay? And then all of a sudden he just does something really badass, and everyone's like, sorry, you...
Yeah.
What? This isn't the Orin we know. Where did... What?
Yeah, what if he can
It'd be like
switch
Neo
between...
being like, I know Kung Fu.
Yeah, right.
Yes, exactly, yes.
But, like, because she
Yes.
insinuates, doesn't she, that she can use her own energy to cast the spells. She's not going to take anything from Orin. All she needed was his intelligence. Which makes me think it could be a really interesting thing if there's Orin's character sheet and there's then Petra Granius' character sheet, and they could flip between the two, because they'd have potentially the same HP, but suddenly, like, all of the Arcanist abilities, and then access to 7th level spells.
Oh my god.
Whenever you want them. How cool would that be?
That would
be
actually
amazing.
be amazing.
Oh,
He's so amazing.
No, I'm here for that. But that's the thing as well, like, Petra didn't even react badly to the fact that the Hex was kind of aligned with the Consortium. It was kind of just like, yeah, of course, like, sometimes we need to find things out about in the criminal underworld. Why wouldn't we turn to the people who are part of that? So because of that, like, I think she's not exhibiting any, like, specific light or dark moments. Like, yeah, definitely the terrified bit, I agree, made me think, right, she's not, like, gonna turn around and be like, no, it's a good thing that people are getting possessed. This is great. So, but there's
that
definitely
was a
that
bit matter
acceptance
fact,
of
wasn't it?
yeah, there's that acceptance of sometimes dark things need to happen in order for the light to go on, which I think is half the reason why she was like, yeah, it's fine if I possess Orin's body because I need it to do this better thing. So,
And it did feel like that moment was very much like, look, we're not perfect. If we want to keep the peace as much as possible, it makes sense for us to have a positive relationship with the Hex so that we can keep tabs on what's going on, as opposed to so that we can really milk it for our personal gain. But
yeah,
it was still a bit, it's still not entirely comfortable.
The party basically need to go to a Hex hideout and see if they can find any more of those lots
Because that went so well last time.
Yeah, maybe with more than just one person from the party might be
they
good.
got a fair bit of information. It was not. I mean,
But at
okay,
what
they had to
cost?
burn a city to the ground, but they got a bit of information on.
True.
They found out about rings before all of that happened. So
yeah,
Oh,
but now
God.
Enkidu's friend has potentially sent a message out as well. So that was
yeah.
Oh my
Forgot
God.
about that.
yeah. I was
Alcibiades
thinking about
sent
that.
a message, didn't he?
Oh
Mhm.
no.
What
It
do you
could be
think?
to anyone.
Oh,
It
God.
could say anything,
Yes.
and we will
God.
not know until David wants us to know.
I mean, I'm hoping it said something like, I'm in the body of this person, they're in Forlos Vale, because now they are so far away from Forlos Vale that it's no longer a problem. But who were they writing to? Who does somebody like Alcibiades trust?
Who do they know?
Aid them. Well, they probably know a hell of a lot of people.
Well, that's what they were saying. They know a lot of people, because when Enkidu was talking to Henna, it was just like, we don't know. It could literally be anyone. Like, I'll try and get some information, but like, no idea.
Do you reckon you can do drawings on this piece of paper? Like, we know that it sends messages. Can you do an image of a person and say, like, be on the lookout for this person?
Just a little doodle of Enkidu, like, this guy.
Because
he's quite distinctive.
Whatever you draw on that paper will appear wherever, is the impression that I got.
Yeah.
So
it could be a drawing. It doesn't have to be words then, by that logic.
Yep. Yeah,
there was also kind of, I love the callback as well to like the fact that you write on these things and they'll turn up wherever. Kind of like, they were saying about the Rose family. It was on the ceiling and then the floor above because she wrote on the back of it. And I think, what's their name? Orin's friend in the Woden Isles. Something Wig.
Eliwick.
Eliwick.
Yeah. Yes, well done.
How it was like on the toilet roll.
That was such a cute moment.
As they were on the toilet, so it turned up on the toilet roll. I love that like little bit of information. But yeah, where is this message now? And is it like permanent? Will the party at some point pass a thing and it's like written on a wall somewhere? That would be interesting.
Just a little drawing of Enkidu being like, "Oh, why are you on this wall? That's weird."
Oh my gosh.
They never get my nose right.
The more I think about it, the less I'm convinced that Rumath is dead.
Mm-hmm. I think he's Gilgamesh. I think he's in there. Or he's Lord Berian. And
he's
is
somewhere. I don't think he's gonna be resurrected. I think it's much more of a body switch situation because there's so much of that going on between
everyone's doing body switching just in very different ways. One's in a big tunnel in like a steampunk style factory. The other one's with some obelisks.
You could do it.
Yep, just so many ways to take someone's body. Woo.
Like one of them went to lichdom, in order to stay alive. Crowl has lived this long because he took magical ways of doing it. Erida recreated a bunch of bodies. It sounds like Chargelt is doing a version of this. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if they're all still kicking about.
Do you want to go with like necromancy? Do you want to go with robots? Do you want to go with possession? It's like pick your poison, really, for the way you would like to gain a new body. So I'm sure there are multiple ways that other people have done it as well that we haven't encountered yet.
Yeah, I mean, they did. I think they mentioned in this, is it Petrogrania says something about the previous king had a blood clot in their brain. And I was just wondering, do you reckon that's the cause of this madness, that they all have that, or a byproduct of possession?
Lord Udrian was what I wrote down.
Lord Udrian, that's it.
That was it. Yeah, the kind of like the kind of, sort of like you said, the split personality thing, and then, finding a blood clot when they died. And then obviously there was that kind of implication of like, oh, was there anyone that checked that was an Arcanist? And apparently it wasn't. So maybe there isn't that kind of magical tampering involved. So
yeah.
It could just be an internal thing. So in that case, that does line up.
Oh, God. What a world David has created, right? I mean,
it's
that
just
we're able
so much.
That we've got all of this information and yet feel like we're missing those key links because there are so many possibilities, and all of them are horrible.
Yep.
In the best way.
Yep. And there's also all the opposite possibilities because there's every chance we could be completely wrong.
Oh, yeah. I hope I am. I hope it's something that I haven't even thought of.
Just listen to this in a month's time and be like, oh, how wrong I was when I said this.
Yeah. How psychic are we?
Well, Hercules didn't happen, so, I'm just disappointed.
I know, right? I'm hoping that a satyr is going to turn up at some point with Enkidu and be like, we're going to turn you into a hero, mate.
Well, they've got to have a musical episode, you know. Every good show has the musical episode. So,
true.
you know, come on, guys.
That's true. They haven't jumped the shark yet. They've got to.
I can't wait for that one. They're all very good singers as well, so I reckon it's going to be quite top tier.
Yeah.
That's true, actually. Yeah. Okay, so David, a special request for the musical episode. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay.
Episode 75, the musical one.
Oh my
Because
god!
the
Should they do that for
superfans
episode
asked for it.
100?
That would be pretty special.
Yes. And that's enough time for them to kind of write the music as well, you know.
Yeah.
Let's not say the next episode. Be nice, like give them at least 30 or 40.
Is it a bit mad that we're actually not that far away from episode 100 now? I know we've, episode 50 seems like a while ago, but actually it's covered probably with the next year. Wow.
That's
madness.
it's good, isn't it?
Will we know what's
gosh.
happening by the 100th episode?
No.
Doubt it.
We'll still be
No,
guessing.
never.
But in the best way.
Absolutely not. We're still drawing back from Crowl. Like, there is no way we're going to know anything by then.
No.
Yeah, I think Hannah's right. I need to go back and listen to the Tillisham episodes again.
Yeah.
Or at
me
least
too.
open this up to the other super fans. Like, I wonder if we need like a theory tab. We've got the spoiler tab on the Discord. I think we need a theory one where we can literally be like, what does this harken back to? Because I know we've got new listeners that are coming through,
Ooh.
chatting about things that happened earlier and like their favourite moments and stuff.
We
They will have
need-
other ideas, and I think we probably need to get this conversation going.
Guys, we need basically a Google Doc or
Uh-huh.
some kind of shared, like a Jamboard, which is basically our big board with all the red strings.
That Gaius mentioned actually in
And
this
we
last
can
episode.
we can all contribute to it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it
Yeah.
happen.
Let's do it.
There we go.
Get ready, everybody. There will be an open access Google Jamboard that will just be our murder wall covered in red string.
Superfans
Little plug,
unite.
join the Discord, join the
Yeah,
Patreon.
yeah.
There we
Hell
go. And then you get to join these things, you know, like, so good.
Should
Oh,
we?
guys. I think. Do we want to do favourite moments?
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Oh,
That's exactly what I was
sorry,
going to
Hannah.
say.
No, do you know what?
No, we're on a wavelength.
Hey!
Retcon.
No, it was like Superfan sync mentally.
Superfan sync.
Shall we say it together? Like, the whole.
Oh
no,
no, we
Ready?
all know how that goes. It's not.
3,
it's never good.
2, 1. Favorite
moment.
moment.
I didn't even say the whole
That
word.
was horrifying.
How about you guys? What are your favourite moments?
Go
Lord
on, do you want to
Crumpet?
jump in, Hannah? Me. Okay. There were so many good ones. I'd say for me it was Oren rolling the 8 that turned into the 26, and then them kind of looking at the papers together. Just that kind of moment of everything kind of coming in and like Oren like coming into his own. I don't know why that just really like. It just resonated really nicely with me of like, oh, Oren knows what he's doing and like he's figured it out and like they're so close to the answers. Like I think that really was a good bit for me.
Oh,
If he'd
yeah.
rolled a 10.
Oh,
Think where
I
they'd
know.
be.
But it was like just enough, you know. I think
Yeah.
because it was like, you know, a lot but not quite everything, that kind of helped because then you were left with that thing of like, this symbol can mean so much. And that to me was just like, yes, I want to know what the symbol is right now. Like, tell me everything. So yeah, that was one
Well,
of my
we'll have to
favourite
wait till he gets back from America, I guess.
moments. I know, damn it.
Yeah. We'll come back with symbols.
Scrawled all over him, like drawn on, like, I know everything.
How about you, Hannah T? Super Han?
I am perpetually attracted by new shiny things. So I think the hint or the lead on stuff being in Orkosh and that being a reason to go towards a new place was so exciting. And obviously with Enkidu and Juna and with Orin and Gaius, there's a lot of like very close involvement of their backstories, and actually having an even bigger tie-in for Gwen to the bigger picture I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, no one's getting away with this. She's not just got this, family who just make kind of really cool security systems for wealthy people and that's the limit of her involvement. No, there is something going on with her Orkosh side that is so mysterious, and this whole thing about Carhilda, just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see where that goes.
Got some chills. And I mean, it harkens back to the first time they found a henge as well, when they were talking about Orkosh then.
Yep.
And I was like, that would be somewhere cool to visit in the future. But I think you're right. It's got to be coming.
It's coming.
They had a teleporting wizard to keep them
it was
moving on that journey.
It was like, nudge, nudge, nudge. Just over here, just a little bit. Like, by the way, it's like, you know when you're playing a massive open world RPG and suddenly you just like open up this other part of the map and you're like, oh crap, this is overwhelming but so exciting, I'm gonna go over here immediately, but then it's
finally buffered and you're like, oh my god, I'm here, I made it. yeah Loading new worlds.
You don't have any quest markers yet, but you can see there's stuff.
But what it will take to get there as well, like if there's still war going on between the people of Dravain and Orkosh, like I love the idea. The
visas are going to be really tricky, tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you oh my god, you'd need a green card, of course.
I'm
sorry.
That's why they haven't got one yet. Well, they can forge permits now, they'll be fine.
That's true.
The dad jokes are starting, Sam. The dad jokes.
Oh, they've been with me for some time. That one
I
was
know,
bad,
but
though.
now you have full permission.
My favorite moment in all of this, I actually had a couple, but the second one's kind of silly. The first one, my actual favorite thing, was the return to Heron's house and like all the spookiness of like it being dark and people have left in a hurry, like the image of Círda. It really like creeps me out of like this is bad. They know already. And then the discovery of the loot and just the peak, for me, that was a peak Gaius episode. As soon as he found out about the money, it just playing it off so cool. I just loved that whole moment. It made me so happy. And then my other favourite part came in that episode as well, which because they were all recording together, which was the nose fart.
Oh my god, the nose fart!
We didn't even mention that.
Vicky doing like a little sneeze or something, and it just sounded like a little fart. Just hearing them all laugh their heads off was pure joy.
So cute.
That was
pure
so
joy.
great.
I'm so glad they left that in.
Yeah, that's a like classic D&D silliness on both counts. Like when the party suddenly go, this is very out of character for us. We're just going to loot the hell out of this space because we can.
Yeah.
And then the just fart jokes. It's
we're going to loot this building. We're going to make a fart joke. We're covering all bases, all audiences at this point.
Perfect. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No small roles, a podcast made for everyone.
That should be the tagline. We'll put that on there.
I mean,
that's it.
Yeah.
Done.
Why not? The new Discord.
There you go. Take that recording. There you go. You can use it for all your trailer needs.
Oh, guys, we've massively overrun, but I guess there was a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
there was a lot. That's what happens when you make all the lore and all the episodes.
I know. I would say, can you spread it out, please? But don't. I love it. Keep it coming.
Spilling in. Let's find more now that they're in the Twain Tide. Let's just have this to being lore central.
Yes, the tea fields.
I bet it's just going to be spoons again. I bet we're going to get more spoons.
More spoons!
To be honest, that would be really fun. I would not be mad at that.
They're in Twain Tide. They are in the tea fields. They no longer have a teapot. Oh, shit.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Gina's going to be devastated.
Oh, no.
Oh, well, they've got loads of money. Maybe they can buy a new one.
Oh, she's got to buy a new one.
They could buy a new Orin if they want.
It's part of her personality. No, wait. Hold on.
Oh, God.
Wait, hold on. They just get a pair of goggles and like a fake leg and go, oh, that'll do. There we go. It's all right, guys. We've got one.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, wow.
This has been utterly delightful.
It's good to be back.
This has been great. I've enjoyed coming back. And I'm glad also, to wrap this all up, Lord Crumpet, the horse, is not dead. And
Hell
I
yeah.
will take that. I will take, because I was listening the whole time thinking, the horse is going to die. My namesake is going to die. Lord Crumpet lives.
I don't know.
And that's
Lord
it. That's all
The
I
hex,
care
the
about.
hex
really.
said they all had to be
I
out of the
love
city, so, you know, if they're not out of the city yet, the hex might come after them.
Oh.
The party finds some glue.
That's true. At least they can make a quick getaway on the horses. Hey, well,
Yeah,
Guy said he was going to turn them into glue, and I was like, excuse you, I've made it this far.
But he went after Pippa, to be fair, so it's fine.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's fine. Exactly. I escaped criticism.
Incurring the wrath of the super fans.
Oh my god, guys.
Well, this
Yeah,
has
I've
been
really enjoyed this.
fantastic. Thank you both so much.
Oh, thank
This
you
has been
guys.
great.
I can't wait for can't
Yeah.
wait for the next few episodes, and hopefully we can do this again
Yeah.
ASAP.
Yes,
because
definitely.
fab.
And thank you to everybody else for listening to our ramblings. Obviously, like we said, we might have a potential theory,
Yeah.
Google Doc or whatever in the Discord. So if you're not on the Patreon, join the Patreon, and then you can leave all of your juicy theories there as
Heck
well,
yeah,
which would be
please
great.
do.
Yes, and you get the episodes a bit earlier too.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if there's things you think we've missed, chuck them in the Superfan page, because we wanna be drawn to that drawn to our attention as well. We need knowledge.
Absolutely.
Please do. Anything we've missed, definitely.
Absolutely.
How are we signing this off then? Are we doing an anon, or I don't know how we would sign off now. It's been such a long time.
The brews and the pews have been
Brews in the pews.
all of that has been. Yeah, I think it's a non for now.
I think it's
Anon for
a non
now.
for now.
Okay, shall I lead then? I started.
Go for
I'll
it,
lead.
yeah.
I'll lead. Right. Okay. Anon for now.
now.